Hello, jewelry lover. My name is Bella Naiman, and I'm the founder of New York City Jewelry Week. Welcome to the virtual program for NYCJW25. The theme for this year's 8th edition of New York City Jewelry Week is Artworn, focusing on artistry in jewelry and how artistic intent informs the creation of adornment. We hope that you enjoy the programs that we have carefully put together for you. While this program is not live, we do welcome your feedback. So enjoy the program. Don't forget to sign up for our mailing list. Follow us on Instagram at NYC Jewelry Week, and hope to see you in person in 2026.
Welcome to the New York City Jewelry Week virtual program. In this particular discussion, we're going to be talking about the artistry of the gallerist. And we have with us 4 really leading, exceptional gallerists who are going to discuss the different ways in which they work. This talk is called The Artistry of the Gallerist, and it really links in with the theme of this year's Jewelry Week, which is Artworn. My name is Caroline Palmer. I'm a freelance journalist based in London. I write about jewellery for the Financial Times and other publications. And I've also trained as a jeweller in recent years, but yeah, that's another story. So with me, I have 4 gallerists. Esther de Beaucé of MiniMasterpiece in Paris, Yael Reisner, who's a gallerist of Objects Beautiful based in London, Elisabetta Cipriani, who has her gallery, which bears her name, also in London, and US gallerist Sienna Patti. So we're going to start off by asking each gallerist to talk a little bit either about their gallery or to show how they work through a particular project and artist. So I think we'll start with Esther de Beaucé, who will talk about her work at MiniMasterpiece. So Esther.
Hello, Caroline. Hello, everybody. I wanted to just tell you that before I started Galerie MiniMasterpiece in 2012, I had for 8 years in Paris a regular art gallery, meaning that I worked with artists, showing paintings and sculptures and drawings and installations. And when I stopped that gallery and started the new one, a lot of people told me, "Oh, so you're completely changing the field of your work." And I thought about that, and then I answered each time that to me I was doing the exact same job that I did before. I worked with artists, visual artists, as I did before. I organized shows. I participate in art or design fairs, and then I try to sell to collectors. So it seemed to me that it was the same job. Of course, the change of scale is drastic, but and there are other new things added to the project, but the main part is the same job. I don't know why I told you that, but I thought it was important because it's things that I've been doing for 20 years now, and art jewelry to me is as linked to art than it is to jewelry. And on this picture you can see one of the artists I invited to work with me. Her name is Joana Vasconcelos. She's Franco-Portuguese. She's a leading contemporary artist. And in the back you have a friend who helped us on this project, Frédéric Hubin, and then myself. And I wanted to show this picture first because it's really the beginning of the story, is the artist and meeting the artist and to start the conversation, you know. Yes, this is another image that I like. It's the another artist I work with, a Chinese artist living in Paris since the revolution 40 years ago. His name is Wang Keping. He makes very large wooden and bronze sculpture. And this picture was taken when he was trying on for the first time at the goldsmith atelier, one of the jewels he designed for the gallery. And I chose this picture because, of course, it's the artist, it's me, but it's also the goldsmith who's going to accompany the project and help us in a very important matter. Chantal? Yes, thank you. This is a view from the gallery. The gallery has a lot of books and jewels, but there's a central showcase which is used for the solo shows. And this was a show 2 years ago about an artist, extraordinary English artist who passed away now, but his name is Phillip King. And the image is to show that I take a lot of attention to the way I show these art pieces, because they are they exist. They have they are great when they are worn, when they are on the body, but they don't need the body all the time to exist. And they have a sculptural presence that is very important. And this is what I mean when I organize the scenography of the show, is to put a lot of attention in presenting them as small sculptures. This is the necklace project, one of the necklace projects by Joana Vasconcelos, the first artist that you saw, the first picture. And it was a very, very challenging piece for me to produce because it was super expensive to make, but very difficult. But I'm very happy that it exists. And this does not exist. It's a montage. I don't know how you say that in English, but it was just an image to being able to talk about the scale, because art jewelry is all about, to me, is a lot about the change of scale and how you go from a very large sculpture to a new project that is small, and then you can also have fun and make that. This is an earring by Franco-Argentinian Pablo Reinoso, and we took that earring image and we made it very large again, as if it was a monumental image. This is done by another artist, an image called Yael de la Cour. And these are things that I like to do a lot, play with the scale, because I think it's at the core of our field. And finally, yes, at the very end of the story, they are the collectors, and they are, of course, very, very important, because then the beginning of the story wouldn't be possible if we didn't have collectors at the end. And this is a dear friend and collector, French, called Solange Thierry, and an artist I work with and that I enjoy very much, and that Elisabetta is going to work with very soon also in a great show. His name is Faust Cardinali, and he's Franco-Italian. And this was during a show of his at the gallery, and it was a way to show the great connection with the artist and the collectors. Oh, and finally, this is a picture of Elisabeth Quin, which is a famous French journalist. She has a TV show 4 days a week on Arte, which is an important public French and German television, and very spontaneously and generously, she wears for all of her shows earrings from the gallery. And so I bring my little box every, Monday with new projects, and I take the old box back. And I love doing that because I love to see and to put art jewelry on television at prime time. I think it's very important that people see more and more art jewels, especially in France, because we're stuck in the patrimony history of, high la haute joaillerie, which is so powerful in France and has huge means. And of course, I'm like a little, I'm so little compared to the haute joaillerie, of course, but there are ways to work and to achieve things. So merci Elisabeth Quin also.
Oh, thank you so much, Esther. There's so many interesting things there that we can go on to talk about later. I really love the idea of talking about the playing with scale. I think that's really interesting, and it adds a whole new dimension to working with artists. Of course, the relationship with collectors is, I'm sure we'll get to that with all of you, so important. And yes, an interesting thing that you mentioned as well that I hadn't really considered about, of course, you are in Paris, as you say, at the heart of haute jewellery and its dominance of the jewellery world, which is also really interesting. Okay, so now, Elisabetta, perhaps you could talk to us a bit about your work.
So basically, I have a gallery in London since 2009. I collaborate with sculptors and painters to do jewelry for the first time. I would like to talk about the process of working with an artist rather than the various artists that I represent, because to me, the most interesting aspect of my job is the relationship with the artist and to build together for everyone to create a piece that someone can wear and treasure forever. So this is Michele. She's one of my latest collaborations. For those who don't know her, she's an American artist based in New York, born in Miami, and her work is the theme of her work is around the connection between humanity and the natural worlds, particularly how ancient wisdom and botanic forms, they shape the human experiences and the artistic expressions. So here it's in her studio in New York. As you can see, there are branches, there are botanical plants, there are things that she collects from her trips, her walks, and she creates her art with these natural elements. Next, please. So the collaboration with Michele is started with the winter branches. The winter branches is an ongoing conversation that started in 2007 when she was doing a series of one-of-a-kind branches for her collectors and friends, unique pieces, and then only in 2015 she did a handful of pieces of winter branches for a private sale at Sotheby's, which was very successful. They sold out immediately, and for 17 years she didn't do anything. She didn't do any jewelry. Of course, I'm not in conversation with her since 17 years, but let's say 3 years, yes, of calling her, visiting her in New York, or meeting her in London while she was exhibiting at her works at art galleries, until suddenly she agreed to continue the conversation of the winter branches. The winter branches is homage to the Botanic Age, which is an age much before the Stone Age, where trees and plants were central to the human development. And what she does, like the previous image that you saw, these branches and pieces of trees, she picks branches during her walks in the parks in the city of New York, in Miami. This one in particular, which I'm going to show in November at the salon, it's a branch that she picked in Alaska during her residency, and here she's. This is a cast, actually. What she does is she takes the branch, she casts it in bronze, and then we scattered either old cut diamonds or brown diamonds. And in this particular image, she is outlining the branch to show me how to put the branch into spa, meaning to make it more elegant, to bring it back to a goldsmith and clean the bronze, make it thinner, make it more beautiful. And this is one image. Then maybe the second one, there is a sort of, yeah, I mean, it's a very short, quick clip. But here, basically, these are all the branches, the cast in bronze, where she was saying to me, this is the branch, you need to, each of them has an individual personality. So even with the diamonds that I have to ask the setter to scatter, has to be not following a specific guideline, but it's really just looking at the branch and looking at the personality. And then the next, so here again, this was, of course, she gives beautiful names to to each branch, the late winter branch, vine, and here you can see white dots, which are not diamonds. They are marks with whiteout. So basically, that was the first time when we did these branches. My first 5 branches, I was quite afraid with going back to my goldsmith and stone setter and tell him, put the stone here, put the stone there. So she directed me with the positioning of the stones. Then here she came to Rome because what is interesting about an artist's jewel, or any kind of jewelry actually, is that you see a little object, but you don't really, the people who sees it don't really realize the work that it is behind, the people that were behind in creating that particular piece. In this case, it's involved the artist, the goldsmith, the caster, the stone setter, of course, the gallerist, that I am the one who directs everyone and trying to make sure that they are creating what the artist wants. And here, Michele, who was a force of nature, was from New York, went to Paris, then from Paris came to Rome specifically to see the workshop where her pieces are made, are finalized. And here she was looking at the other branches and with my goldsmith, and I took this photo because I loved it. But this is a beautiful. Then there is the photographer. So it's not only, as a gallerist, you also have to take care about, presenting the work, not only, of course, how Esther does beautifully, displaying it for an exhibition, but also have great images. And I love this because it looks like a sort of forest. And another thing that I forgot about, that the reason why she chose diamonds, all cut diamonds or brown diamonds, is just more like a way to recall the dew. So when the water in the morning or sits on the branches, so in a way it gives the with the movement of the body, this branch and the brightness of the diamonds comes to life. This one also, another part of the gallerist is putting together a presentation. In this case, it was her studio in New York. The day after, I had to go and set up my booth in the salon last year, 2024. And so I brought this wooden table, which she actually designed. She painted and she created a particular patina. So I was carrying in New York this wooden base brought to the studio, and together we were trying to figure it out how to display the pieces for the fair. And so that was the final. After several attempts, she took Michele gave me these props, which are made of bronze, and they are sculptures, and I used them to display the jewelry, and it looked really beautiful. And that's the booth. So also another aspect of a gallerist is to go to fairs and present the artist's works. In the center here, there is another piece by Michele, which I contributed in the production, and it's a cast of a tree trunk that she collected on the Hudson River. That was produced in Rome, a very long, difficult process, and it's silver electroformation. But this is just I wanted just to show. And this was, for me, was an highlight because, there's a lot of work behind everything. And to see that the winter branches, the collaboration, the first launch, which was at the Salon in New York, in 2024, it was featured in the New York Times. So the artist was very happy. I was very happy, and that's it. So at the end, what is important is that the artist is happy, that the gallerist is happy, and great collectors are happy that they acquire something special that really they can treasure for the rest of their lives.
Thank you so much, Elisabetta. That really does highlight the kind of intensity and amount of work involved in developing a project with an artist. That's really good. And also you kind of have really shown that it's a real collaborative venture being a gallerist. So Thank you very much. I'm sure this is something that we can pick up on. So Sienna, perhaps you would like to talk to us.
Hi, thank you so much, Caroline. It's so nice to hear everybody speaking. I have a list of questions. Get ready. So I work with artists who have, mostly from the beginning of their artistic careers, chosen jewelry as their form of expression, as opposed to a painter who designs jewelry and someone else fabricates it, or where part of their practice is jewelry. So it's mostly makers who are very focused on jewelry itself as the art form. And it lends itself to a really wide and intimate world. I have been doing this for a very long time. pre-internet, I now realize, which is perhaps why so I opened the gallery in 1998, and I'm sure there was internet somewhere, but I didn't have it. And the way in which we looked at images and objects through images was very different. In knowing I was going to have this conversation, I was thinking a little bit about, how I formed that initial understanding. My parents are artists. I grew up thinking that an artist was someone who sat in their studio by themselves and worked, and didn't necessarily have a team of people working with them. So I come from a very kind of traditional understanding of what an artist is, and it has over time evolved, but it certainly was the basis for how I began what I did. Is I didn't see jewelry being presented as art in the way that I wanted to, and some kind of sort of how Esther said, but as a mini, we talk about scale a lot and everything. How an artist navigates scale in jewelry intentionally, I think, is very, very interesting. And jewelry has a rich and long history from the beginning of time that a lot of the artists I work with will interplay different ideas that jewelry has always had, and make them contemporary. So what we're looking at in this picture is one of my favorite exhibitions. It's from, I don't know, mid-2000s, 2007 maybe. It's an artist named Sandra Sherman. She's from California, and she did a series of corsages. They're made of stainless steel and nail polish. And as opposed to showing you an image of the actual piece, what you're looking at is the display at a fair. Because what we wanted was for people to not just see the jewelry, but to have the experience of the object and the jewelry. And it was interesting because over time, over the 5 days of the fair, the flowers started to die. So you really had this kind of like visceral, you'd lean over to look into because in order to see it, you had to lean over to look into this box. The box had a little bit of printing on the top, so it was a slightly obscured, and inside would be the corsage. There was a woman walking around the fair, and I laughed because she said to the group she was working with, she said, usually you can't talk about jewelry, but this is so big. And it really, I'm sure we've all experienced this, how do you take something small and make it understandable, I think, in a way that people can grasp, and then want to look even further. So this for me was it was a long time ago, and it is really stuck in my mind as a very successful exhibition where the artists had an idea together, not unlike Elisabetta's comments. Together, we were able to come to the kind of fruition, the final work, because the presentation really mattered. This is an artist, Lola Brooks. And when I first opened the gallery, I really wanted to find artists that were young, that, again, no internet. So in 2002, I did a Emerging Artist Award where I invited artists to send in slides and transparencies. If that doesn't date it, I don't know what does. And the person who won that is Lola Brooks. I had a group of people. At the time, it was the MassMoCA, the Massachusetts Museum of Contemporary Art had just opened, and the director there was one of my jurors. So I was trying to bring in people from different fields to look at and talk about jewelry. And Lola Brooks was the winner of that. This is the most recent exhibition that I did with her, and this was in 21. So we've worked together for 20 years. My job is to support what she does. So she'll have an idea. She's working on a group of work. She'll kind of vaguely tell me what it is. And my job is to help support that body of work happening. Whether it's advertising or setting up a show, finding the collectors, figuring out where it makes the most sense to have it, editing text, thinking about how it gets pitched, how it goes out into the world. How can I best be a conduit through which the artist and the person who hopefully one day owns the work, or the museum that has the work, how that conversation can happen. So this was a very surreal time in our lives. We were in the middle of COVID, and she did an incredibly beautiful and wonderful body of work that was very different from what she had done before. But she works in stainless steel, and she always has worked in stainless steel and gold solder. So this is another piece of hers. This is a piece that just went into a museum, which is also the second part, or another part of what we do, which is finding places where this work can then live in perpetuity after someone's finished wearing it. This object weighs about, I think, 2.5 pounds. So there's also that lovely quality of putting jewelry on your body and how it feels. I have a gallery where I really want people to come and touch things. It's a little, you can get nervous sometimes with it, but it's so much about how does it, there's a sensuality to materials that sometimes the artist is making the work via that material. And to be able to share that sensuality and that intimacy, I think it really matters that these objects can become part of, people can touch them. Even people who aren't going to buy them and own them, but that we can kind of show how materials can give you a wider range of understanding and empathy of what's happening around you. And I can see that I've seen over the years with having an open space that people can come into, I have seen that really happen. I've seen that kind of curiosity move people in different directions. This is the artist who won the second time, and I bring both of these people in because I've worked with them for a long time. They've continued to make incredible work, and I've grown up with them in many ways. This is Melanie Belenker. She works with hair. So this is a very small drawing that's made with hair. And I don't know if you can see behind me. I don't know if you can only see the slide, but there's an object on my wall behind me that is a drawing that she did. It's in a frame. It's much more traditional, sort of going the other way, pulling away from jewelry. So Melanie works playing with traditional ideas of jewelry, but really contemporizing them. And it's been exciting to see as her life has changed, how her jewelry has changed, just very subtly in her images. So when she first made a body of work, there were photographs she had taken of herself laying in the tub or washing her arm or holding up her lingerie or laying in bed and eating chocolate. And then as she got older, because all of these are images of her with her hair, as she got older, the images became making dinner, pushing a kid around, cleaning the garden. So as her life changed, the images in her work changed. And a couple of years ago, there was this beautiful one of a woman leaning back with her long, long hair and water coming out of the faucet, out of the shower on her. And the water looked like water. And she says, well, now I have gray hair. So now I can actually make the water and it looks like water. So work has changed because her body has changed. And this is actually my daughter wearing it. So talk about, next generations. We really love to do photo shoots in the gallery. We grab people in off the street. We force our family to do it because being able to see these objects on the body and not just on black and not just, in a very refined environment I think is also really important. And then I've done a bunch of different fairs. I've done a lot of art fairs. I find that I like art fairs more so than design fairs for me, because the conversation about the work is very different. This is Mallory Weston on the back corner wall. One of my proudest moments was selling that pair of hot pants to the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. I think I came home and said, I just sold a pair of metal hot pants. I was very, very excited for Mallory. This is all metal, thread, cut by hand, sewn together. And on the other side is an artist named Lauren Kalman, who studied metals, who does objects, who does metals, who talks about the body. So this is where my practice starts to evolve. I kind of have very wide, very extensive walls in terms of what I consider to be part of the jewelry world. And so these would be two good examples of that. And bringing this to an art fair and having conversations where you're putting it in the context of paintings, of other sculpture, but it's very clearly jewelry and it's very clearly playing with jewelry ideas. This is Jacqueline Lilly, who we featured in October. And it is tiny little beads, each one with a knot in between. Beautiful work. Jacqueline is in her 80s. She lives in Vienna. She's French originally. I just personally have always loved her work. It's so beautiful. It feels so good on it. Warms up when it's on your body. She herself is a wonderful person, and something about knowing the artist is wonderful. And when I wear Jacqueline's work, I also feel a little bit of her is become part of me. And this is a really important thing about jewelry to me, is this translation between one person made this thing and one person will wear this thing. This connection of humanity really matters to me. And I think it matters to a lot of the artists that I work with, whether I chose them for that reason or it's part of the jewelry. During New York Jewelry Week, I'm super excited to show this body of work, which is really, I get more excited about it every day. It's Lori Talcott. It is called Jewels from the Underworld, and a series of silver, oxidized silver, lead, fabric pieces, some wearable, some less so, some heavy, some light. It's in the underground of a building in Soho, where in order to get down to the exhibition, you walk through a Botox studio, which I just couldn't have asked for something conceptually better than that. Very exciting. And it's been just amazing to work with Lori, because we, I always, to be able to come up with the events and the display and all of the things that surround the pieces to bring the work up and out and to have people experience them the way the artist wants is really my favorite thing to do as a gallerist. And Lori is really open to that happening. We're serving little black cakes and little black drinks to go along with it. And a lot of what Lori's talking about are things that I'm personally interested in: the power of objects, the power of story, the power of the objects that we carry through time and what they mean. So this, I would say, in the 27 or 28 years that I've been doing this, is really a great example. And yeah, in 2025, it's now a very good example of what both my artists and I are interested in and what I hope to continue working on.
Thank you so much, Sienna. You've highlighted so many aspects of how not only as a gallerist you work with artists, but how you promote the work, how you get it out there, and also how you connect the wider world with what's going on within your gallery. So thank you very much. So Yael, perhaps you could tell us about Objects Beautiful.
Yes, thank you. So my gallery, Objects Beautiful, is only 2 years old. So I'm very, very young, though I guess I'm the oldest, here. And the logo of Objects Beautiful, I'll just say something about myself. I'm an architect. I work as an architect most of my life. I was an academic, mostly focused since 2010 on the debate of the importance of beauty. Beauty matters. It was in architecture, focused on the architectural conversation, but also in the arts generally. So, and the thing that I work as a curator as well, and I won a competition in 2019 to be the head, and I wanted to be the head curator of Tallinn Architecture Biennale, which was really big exhibition with a symposium where I was in charge of everything. And it was a year and a half of preparation, and it was the joy of my professional life. Then it was a pandemic, and during the pandemic, I decided that I'm about maybe to change my activity. And after the pandemic, it was clear that I'm going to open the gallery. So the name was quite obvious, because for years I became the campaigner of Beauty Matters and so on. So in Objects Beautiful logo, the thread represents beauty that connects all the pieces in our collectible collection. My curation focuses at the pursuit of beauty, as mentioned already. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder is the most common phrase in Western culture about beauty, which means it's subjective. That is true. Yet, when an object is exquisitely beautiful, most people agree it's beautiful. So it's not so subjective. We cannot define beauty in simple terms. Yet what we see as beautiful is known to us in first sight. immediately. And the neuroscientist Semir Zeki discovered in 2011, not so long ago, that the definition of beauty is actually located in our brain, triggered by art or nature. When we see what we feel is beautiful, an activity in the pleasure center of emotional brain increases immediately, and its intensity is also measurable. Neuroscientists found that a daily pleasure of beauty is a serious matter of health, and that humans could not exist without experiencing beauty daily and often. So if we move to the next slide, the second one, we can see Michael Becker's work here that reflects on why a lot of us today bridge between arts and crafts, which were separated historically as two different territories, where artists expected to be able to think conceptually, and perhaps artisans expected to excel with traditional skills. The borders are already blurred, and we can see here why Becker's skills are the envy of many. These details are unbelievably exquisite. This necklace is so pleasant to wear, has a soft movement and lightness, and he is the master of moving parts in his necklaces and braces. Next. Art jewelry these days expresses through numerous alternative materials, not anymore only gold, silver, and diamonds. This Hilly Sheen's brooch won a Louvre Award for crafts, where she painted the rain on canvas and then turned it around by pressure to create a new beautiful expression held together by silver. Her artistic themes revolve raindrops and the moon. As you can see here on the right, in this hairpins, two moons, created for Object Beautiful commission of the series Rocks and Locks, a hair jewelry project in 2025. I was very surprised that through the 20th century, there was no hair jewelry. It's kind of a territory that disappeared from view. I have my view why. And so that collection was I exhibited in Collect in London and in Schmuck in Munich. So we can move to the next slide, which where we can see on my left is Hee-Joo Kim from Seoul, works through a process of electroforming the metal layer on an object she carves first out of wax, and then she adds color. Whereas Katli Tista from Tallinn, Estonia, works with wood she finds in her family's garden, infused with memories. We go to the fifth slide next. The necklace Circle of Moons and the brooch on the left are by Tanel Vinre from Tallinn as well, made of black ebony, onyx, and silver. Whereas Karina Shostery's hair comb, called Grief, just purchased by the, I can say happily, was purchased by the Auckland Museum in New Zealand, including her other hair comb, which is called Hope. The Grief one is an incredibly loaded expression about the artist's life and done through her leading skills of using bioplastics, PLA through 3D pen, painting three-dimensionally her objects. Here it's is mostly in black, though she's known for her white color palette. Beauty was a taboo in the arts through the 20th century, and it was thanks to the field of mathematicians for physics, as Einstein, for example, who were part of the only discipline through the 20th century that never stopped believing in the importance of beauty. And that we have, it's thanks to them, that we have a clear and decisive list of characteristics and qualities of beauty that includes elegance, profundity, originality, clarity, seriousness and significance, economy, magic, ambiguity, wrapped in enigma. And the last slides is just to say that I enjoy commissioning also painting, architectural material, and photography. Yet walking in beauty through art to wear is the core of my mission. It's my love so far. And I'm happy to say that I work with 44 art jewelers based in the UK, in Europe, in Asia, in Australia, and New Zealand. And I visited most of them in their studios, which is another delightful thing to do. We see here in these slides, it's art clothing by the painter, a very established artist, Nourid David, who has an incredible sense of color and form. And this original coat and other pieces by her were exhibited at Collect 2025 along the art jewelry. Thank you. That's all from my side.
Oh, thank you so much, Yael. I particularly love the work you commissioned for Collect, commissioning a whole range of jewelry for hair. It's very interesting. It kind of shows the scope of all of you as gallerists, how it's not a passive activity at all. You can actually mold and change and help develop the art jewelry scene by the talent that you help develop and the work that you help produce. So that's really great. So, I mean, what's really fantastic is that you all represent, what gallerists contribute to the world of art jewelry in terms of collaboration with artists, in terms of relationships with museums, with collectors, with just jewelry enthusiasts that you are by what you do, promoting art jewelry and improving its profile. Well, actually, while you're thinking, Esther, about questions, I really love the idea of you lending jewelry to the presenter on television in France. Perhaps I could ask you how that came about.
Well, she came to the gallery a couple of times, and she's a smart and beautiful working woman. To me, she was a great. She could be a great ambassador, and I don't know how exactly the idea came, but because I want to, put art jewelry at the how do you say that, at the devant la scène, at the on the front scene. I don't know how you say that in English,
yes.
but and she loves jewelry. The only problem is that she can only wear earrings because she has mics here.
Oh.
So no rings because it makes noise, no necklaces, so only jewelry. So it's getting difficult to find new pieces of earrings all the time. So maybe I'll ask for you girls for collaborations, on earrings for French television.
I think it was a brilliant idea, and it's amazing that she's actually doing 4 days a week. I think
yes.
I think there are jewelry as a small niche need this publication. It's for the general public, because I think a lot of people are puzzled. What is this art jewelry? A lot of people are a lot more exposed to commercial jewelry and other jewelry, and I think it's a fantastic opening to a small world.
She's very free in her decisions. She's not a Vuitton or a Dior. She's not sponsored by French luxury houses. So she's free. I mean, it's difficult to lend pieces to great women, because they are under contract with a lot of different luxury maison. So but she, it's always finding ways to make the art jewelry exist. We have to be very smart and clever, and you all are in finding ways to defend what we do. And surely it's not easy, but I think we all like that challenge also, because we can be we have a role, and even if it's only art jewelry in the world. But it's interesting to be able to have a role.
Yeah.
Yes, and Sienna, you mentioned as well about how you really encourage people who come into your gallery to touch the pieces, to create to help people connect with something that perhaps they might not necessarily know much about or understand. So do you find people really respond to that openness on your part?
I think so. I think that there's walking into a gallery or into a space that's set up like a gallery can be a deterrent for a lot of people to take the next step, to try to understand. And
yes.
And I have I have seen over the years that I've developed really incredible clients from being able to have that kind of openness in the space. It kind of takes away some of the fear of the object, because there is this initial, I don't think I'd ever wear that. I mean, I hear that all the time. And I would say, well, I mean, you put it on and see what it feels like. What does it feel like to wear this? And not every single person is going to do that and wants to do that, and it is not necessarily relevant. But jewelry in itself is meant to be worn, right? Intrinsically, this is the thing; it goes on our body, and so why wouldn't that change your experience to put it on? I think in some ways, I'm based here; I'm not in Paris or in London, and I think that the haute couture and the whole the industry of jewelry is not something that I really engage with in the same way. So it's not part of that conversation. I love that you're doing this with the reporter, because when I'm watching the news, I'm always like, statement necklace. She's wearing a statement necklace, and they have all these it's like, and I'm always thinking like, oh, they should be wearing better jewelry. But it is a place because it's a presentation, right? It's someone in a presentation performance where you're just looking at their heads, just like us. And I think it's pretty great that you're doing that. And kudos to her, to this woman, to this reporter for doing it, because I would say 90% of my clients, outside of museums or placing things in collections, 90% of my clients are women buying for themselves. So, and I would guess that maybe as you go around to jewelry houses all over the world, that's not the case. It's gifts. I mean, jewelry has this long history of gift giving and all of this kind of stuff, and engagement rings and blah, 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 blah. But my client base, and I would say probably not so dissimilar from a lot of you, it's independent women, who primarily women, to be honest, who are independent, and feel that by participating in this field or by wearing these objects, it is a mark of independence to do that. It can be very subtle. I have clients who wear pieces inside their clothing just to press up against their skin. It doesn't necessarily have to be an outward showing of it, but it is a certain amount of, I'm not like everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I want, and here's one way for me to show that. Mm-hmm. So kudos to her for doing that. Like you did say that she's not sponsored. She doesn't sound like she wants to be. She went to you. It's pretty cool.
Yes. Yeah. And coming to you, Elisabetta. So how do you find your relationship with the clients, and how you build that, and the kind of people that buy your work?
So I believe that I really look after them like nobody else, apart from all of you guys. of course. But like I am, I really do care that the piece that they choose looks great on them. So even if it's, let's say, the cheapest piece that I have at the gallery looks great, and perhaps she chosen the most expensive, but it doesn't look great, I actually push her to buy the cheapest because I really care. I really, for me, it's very important that they look beautiful with it, and of course, they have to feel comfortable. And also, my clients are mainly art collectors, women, who want to wear something meaningful with a story, something that connects them to people, where they can start a conversation. And if, for example, if they cannot come to the gallery, I go to them. I bring a selection of pieces. We play with the jewelry, and I became very patient in this 17 years because our work is also about being patient, not only with the artists but also with the clients. But what actually makes me very happy is seeing them on the streets wearing the jewelry that they got from me, and looking at them and telling them how beautiful they look, and also when they come to me or send me a WhatsApp or an email saying, Elisabetta, oh my God, you cannot imagine how many compliments I receive while wearing the piece. That makes me very happy, more than anything else.
Yes. So all of you have spoken in different ways about how you support your artists, and and also the importance of building relationships with clients. But in addition, one of you, was it mentioned about also exhibiting not just in your galleries but at art and design fairs, and how you preferred art fairs to design fairs in terms of the kind of conversation around the jewelry. So I'm interested if others of you have found a similar thing, that that you feel that jewelry shown at art fairs somehow it highlights the the importance and the creativity of the work.
For sure.
No.
I spoke already, but
I share that view very much. I think it was Sienna who mentioned that in her talk, and I feel that somehow there are jewelry presented in art fairs, and is much ahead of the game, I feel. And they're in design is kind of, what they call it design, it's kind of more the craft, the skill, the limit of design. I'm coming from architecture. I'm really bored by most of the design first. The craft fair in Collect is actually, call it all the time, it's by the Craft Council, but it's an art fair, which is also like, but only for craft. You can't show the fine art painting, for example. So I think it reflects what we see is actually reflects on their as I mentioned, the blurred border between arts and or wishing to have the blurred borders between the arts and the crafts. And so we have the Lever Awards for craft given to artists or jewelers that really works as artists. So I think it's a reflection on that. And I share the view. I find their art jewelry in art fair by far more interesting, better results.
But it
fascinating.
Yeah, sorry, but I found it very difficult to show art jewelry in art fairs. I mean, I don't know what, I mean, the only fairs I have access to are, in fact, the design fairs. I feel that art fairs, as in contemporary art fairs, are not really giving space to art jewelry. It's still something that we have to work on, probably, to have art jewelry being accepted by the art fair world. I don't know what you guys think, but I feel that we are pushed to the design fair, and they are great fairs, and we do good, and I'm happy to be part of these design fairs, but sometimes they do show also art, but they're not, like Art Basel, for instance, is not ready to show art jewelry, or places like that. I still think it's a bit complicated.
Yeah, but because they believe, particularly the Art Basel, they believe that it's functional art. So it means it's decorative. That's why they don't accept artist jewelry, even though it's done by, I don't know, Picasso, and they have a Picasso painting. You have the jewel by Picasso. For them, it's still functional, and so it cannot be shown. That's a bit. It's a bit difficult, but there are many other fairs which are not Art Basel that we can participate. There's one, for example, in Bologna. It's called Bologna Art Fair. It's one of the oldest fairs in Italy of contemporary art, and they've actually asked me to participate, but I cannot do it. It's too many fairs, but they're starting.
Yeah,
forget about the Art Basel.
No, but it's
it's not going to happen.
I know, but to a lot of people, sometimes jewelry, even art jewelry, is linked to frivolity. Do you say that, frivolity, in English?
Yes.
It's not, to some people, it's not always taken as seriously as it should be. And also, most of these jewels are for women, for a women public. So, maybe also it's to them, it's a narrow public, and there's a.
Yeah, and I also actually show mostly women artists, so I feel like they're like stacked against me. But what I did say that about the art fairs, and what I was referring to is what Elisabetta said, which is these are ancillary fairs. This is not Art Basel. This is that was a Pulse art fair I did in Miami years ago. That one I showed, because in general, they're run by younger people. There at the time, again, it's a while ago, but at the time there was, a generational shift in understanding how art, craft, and design were working together and presenting. It's not going to happen overnight. And I don't know if it has to happen, really. I think it's nice to see these little highlights of jewelry showing up in different places, and not for it always to be the Picasso piece of jewelry or the, Calder piece of jewelry, which may be slightly more accessible. But I do find that what I find challenging with design is it's still really invested in material. There are some exceptions of novelty material, but in general, it's still diamonds, golds, metals, and a certain a focus on beauty, which I don't disagree is very important, but that's the number one most important focus in a lot of pieces. I think that I see at design fairs, or that I know are selling at design fairs, right? So it's not just what you see, it's not just what the dealers are presenting, it's what's actually selling. I don't know, I am not doing fairs right now. So since COVID, after COVID, and even it's given me this huge amount of freedom to not be doing a fair, because it's expanded the kinds of different sorts of projects and places that I feel like I've been able to put jewelry in, because it costs a lot of money to do the fairs, and it costs a lot of my time and energy and the flow of the people that I work with. And it becomes a machine that, for me, I'm not as interested in participating in as I was. Not to say that next week I won't feel differently, but I think there's a constraint that just doesn't appeal to me. And since our jewelry doesn't fit into the norm, and we always say it's like the red-haired stepchild, then why does it have to be presented in the norm? Jewelry is something that's out in the everyday all of the time. So I see a lot of the exciting presentations are done by students coming out of university who are saying, we're going to do this in the subway, or and obviously that's not realistic to make money, to have a business doing that. But there is some impulses there that I feel do kind of, again, talk to like the humanity of the pieces that we're selling and that we're showing, and that and the artists that we're working with, that there's a personal relationship with these objects that you don't have the same thing with the painting. You just don't. It's just not, it doesn't function like that, which is why also, again, is Elisabetta saying that a lot of her clients are women art collectors is fantastic. I mean, that is ideal to me. To say that the people who are buying and collecting and owning beautiful, well-known pieces of art for their home also want to put these pieces on their body and express that out in the world. That is a shift, because over time we can name the women, the famous women who did that, and they were few and far between. So to know that more people are willing to have their outward expression not only be of luxury or to be of a different kind of luxury, I think is really wonderful.
But I feel that I exposed myself the most so far to the Munich art jewelry fair, and I Schmuck frame is the whole city is flourishing with endless exhibitions, and in the Messe as the main exhibition. But the openness and the originality of objects and alternative material is mind blowing. It's fantastic. And I think they're really ahead of the game if compared to other jewelry weeks or other things I'm exposed to. And it's very rarely by what we call fine artists, like artists but actually it's mostly by artists from the jewelry world, from amongst the jewelers. A lot of academics and academies and universities these days are really taking the conversation forward and also ahead of the game. Of course, depends on which place, but I've been to Seoul and I saw the most influential university there, the most influential jewelry department is fantastic. Is real art, and it's so open, and the tradition there is so amazing that you see through all the different years. You see even among the young ones, they're looking for different material to have their own expression. So I think there's a good future, but of course the tradition and the history and even treating jewelry as frivolous women thing is we still have to fight all that. It's still in the air, though there are already other much more advanced pieces of jewelry out there, art jewelry.
Yes, thank you so much, Yael. Well, I think we've got to the point where we've kind of run out of time, but there's so many subjects that have come up that we could have continued talking about, and I hope people who watch this will get from everything that you've said all the different interesting aspects of being in the world of art jewelry, of collaborating with jewelers, of promoting the work. And I've also, I think, taken away more than anything, which is what I've taken away, is your individual passions for what you do, and the importance that art jewelry has in your lives. So thank you so much to all of you for taking part.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you. Thank you, girls.
It's been really great. So thanks very much, and we'll leave it there. And I hope that our paths will cross on different occasions.